Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with allthingsbbq.com, and this is Everything Bagel and Brisket Strata. Now today I want to share with you guys not just a recipe, but really a customizable concept for a really fantastic breakfast or brunch dish that will feed a small crowd. We're talking about strata. Now this strata that we're cooking up today, you can kind of think of it as a mix between like a frittata and a savory bread pudding. So it does have those day-old chunks of bread, or in this case, everything bagel, and a very egg-rich custard that soaks into those bagels and then fills in all the nooks and crannies around the bagels and whatever your internal garnish are. So today we're doing everything bagel and brisket. We'll also kind of just be anything sort of like Jewish deli related. That's what's gonna go into our strata today. Think of it like a brisket, egg, and cheese, everything bagel sandwich in strata form. But like I said, you can customize this any which way you want. Use croissants and ham and cheese, or pulled pork and white bread. You could probably even figure out a way to do an enchilada strata if you wanted to. Oh, that one's fun to say. Our strata is gonna start with some caramelized onions and some spinach cooked down. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. That's all the knife work we really have to do, other than chopping up some brisket. So let's knock this out and start cooking these onions down. I'm just gonna do sliced onions today. You can dice them up if you like. You can slice them the other direction. It doesn't really matter, as long as you're doing it all the same. We'll get some butter down and get our onions in here and get them cooking, and chop up our spinach. Let's give these guys just one little shake of some smoked salt to help start to draw out some of that moisture. Cook these over a medium-ish heat, medium-low. We want to get a little bit of color. We don't have to go full caramelized, but we do want to get a little bit of color on them. We've got some baby spinach. Just gonna give it a rough chop, slice chop, just to break down the pieces a little bit. We want about 2 cups. Get some good color on our onions here. So at this point, what I want to do is throw in that spinach. We're going to turn the heat all the way down to low because it doesn't take much. In fact, just kind of the residual heat here will help to wilt the spinach. While we're at it, let's also throw in some everything bagel seasoning. We'll do about a tablespoon of our everything bagel seasoning. Kind of toast those spices, that garlic and onion and sesame seed in there. Just takes a minute or two to get that spinach wilted down. So now we're ready to take this out of the skillet, because we're actually going to build our strata right here in the same skillet. We'll set this aside for now. The next thing we need to do is probably ought to mix up our custard. So this is going to be a little weird way to start your custard, but I've got 8 ounces of smoked cream cheese here. I've also done this same recipe with smoked salmon, which is when I wanted to add that cream cheese in. But I like it so much that we're gonna keep it for our brisket version, but we need to work it into the custard. So we're gonna start doing that by just whisking it with the eggs, and then we can add in some more eggs and the rest of our milk. Now it's totally fine if we stuff little pieces of cream cheese in there, just be little pockets of cream cheese in the custard. It doesn't have to be all the way broken down. But once we've got it broken down pretty well, we'll add in the rest of our eggs here. Doing 10 eggs for our 12-inch skillet. And then once that's all well incorporated, let's turn this down a bit, and we're gonna add 3 cups of milk. And that's it. So let's start bringing this thing together. Now, I almost forgot, I'm gonna add to this custard about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Again, keeping with that Jewish deli theme here. Also gonna throw in a tablespoon of Hoff hot sauce, the house sauce. This also has some black mustard seed in it, as well as some dill. Really cool flavors. All right, now let's build. We're gonna start with the bagel. So these have been sitting uncovered. You can hear they sound like croutons. That's a good thing. We got about 2 bagels down on the bottom. Now these are hard because we want them to hold some form, but we also want them to soak up all that custard, so they'll hold that custard filling but still have some structure to them. And here we can start to layer in some of those internal garnish that we talked about. Our onion, our spinach. We're gonna throw some capers in there for that salty brininess. And then some sharp cheddar cheese. We got 2 cups total, we'll split it. We'll just layer all of this on top. And then we've got our brisket. So this, I just pulled this out of the freezer, previously cooked brisket. If you got leftover brisket, great. If you got to smoke a brisket, you know, do what you got to do. I can't even tell you which brisket recipe this is, but you can certainly check out plenty of different versions of brisket on our YouTube channel. This is the lean meat. It's got a little touch of that fatty on top. This is the fatty meat from the point down here. So we're gonna do half and half. We'll give it a rough chop. Now these are gonna kind of break down as they cook. So I'll leave them into larger chunks to start out with. Let's pour a little custard in there. Now you don't have to do this in layers like this, but I feel like it helps distribute everything a little bit more evenly. Do a shake of that Everything Bagel seasoning before we go for the second layer. Again with the veg. The caper. We're going to finish this layer off with the cheese on the very top. So we get the brisket. Let's pour in the rest of that custard. Should come right up to the top. And then we'll spread our cheese on top of everything. A little more Everything Bagel, and we'll call that good. Now, in order for all of that custard to soak into that dried out bagel, needs time. There's no way to get around that. So we're gonna throw this in the fridge with a lid on top of it. I'd say let it go at least 4 hours if you can, or you can do it overnight. You could do this whole process in the evening, have this sitting in the fridge, pull it out in the morning, and stick it right on the grill. Today we're cooking on the Yoder Smoker's YS640S pellet grill. It's running at 400 degrees. Now I've given our strata the minimum 4 hours of soaking time, so it's ready to go onto the grill. We're gonna place this on the second shelf, uncover it, slide it right next to that stack where that air moves so quickly as it exits so we can get some nice browning on here. Now this should take about 45 to 55 minutes. I'm gonna come back and check on it in 30, see if we need to spin it. Well, I've been keeping an eye on our strata here, and we are definitely closer to the 1 hour mark now because it just wasn't quite setting up yet. But now we can see there's just still a little bit of jiggle, but no liquid. I will sometimes just take a thermometer just to check out like what it's at. If it's over 180 for sure, it's going to be set. So, you know, much lower than that is actually where it'll set. But just to make sure that we don't have any runniness going on. Good little marker. So let's pull this off. We're gonna let it cool. It's gonna kind of shrink down a little bit as it cools, and then we'll get a taste. We're gonna dig in here. There's really no point in trying to do this pretty. It's not gonna be pretty, but it doesn't need to be. Now I want just a little bit more of that house hot sauce on top. Let's get a taste. Oh man, what great smokiness out of that. I think some of that's that smoked cream cheese for sure. We got brisket in there, of course, but fantastic smokiness. Brisket's always delicious. The custard itself, you know, it creates that kind of like classic home style breakfast casserole thing. And then you're getting all those flavors. I mean, tasting the hot sauce right now. I'm tasting the Everything Bagel for sure. you know, spinach, caramelized onions. I'm just listing ingredients at this point. I feel like we should probably cut. I get carried away. I'm gonna shut my mouth and put food in it instead. You guys go do the same. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out allthingsbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoyed the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to allthingsbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.